Hola, Emilio.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, very good. Sunny
Uh,
day here.
oh, nice. So it's actually a pleasure to have you here. So today my guest is Emilio Carrizosa. He's full professor of statistics and OR at University of Seville in Spain. His research interests include industrial and applied mathematics, data science, in particular, explainable and fair machine learning, as well as supervised classification and regression. He's also interested in mathematical optimization and OR, more specifically mixed integer nonlinear programming, global optimization, and vector optimization. He's the current president of MathIn, the Spanish network of industrial mathematics. He's also president of the Spanish Platform for Technologies of Modeling, Simulation, and Optimization in a Digital Environment. Emilio has served as director of the Mathematical Institute of the University of Seville, president of the Spanish Statistics and OR Society, and editor-in-chief of TOP, which is a Spanish OR journal. He has papers in top journals in the area of OR and management science, including mathematical programming, operations research, management science, mathematics of OR, Omega, EJOR, and CNOR. He has supervised 14 PhD theses. 3 of them have been awarded various national and international prizes. Emilio has been a leading researcher in industrial projects and contracts in applications of OR to different sectors such as energy, logistics, and information technologies. In addition, he has an intense activity of outreach, participating in debates and interviews on TV, radio, and newspapers on industrial mathematics and teaching mathematics. Emilio, such an honor to have you here. I wanted to have you as a guest for I don't know, so many months, and I'm super glad that you have accepted the invitation. So it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
It's a pleasure for me and I'm very happy to be here because this is an impressive series of interviews to top colleagues, and I'm very happy to be here.
Great. So let's start. How old are you now?
I'm 57. I'm 57.
Mm-hmm.
I feel unfortunately closer to my retirement than to the start of my academic career. Nevertheless, I would say that I have the enthusiasm I had in the very beginning.
Yeah, that's clear. I think you still have decades ahead.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Are you originally from Seville?
No, I was born in Andalusia, so the same region than Seville, but in Cordoba, which is also a beautiful town close to Seville. But in fact, I spent my first years in a small village called Fuenteovejuna, where I was all the time interested just in football, seeing animals like horses, donkeys, and pigs, and so on, in the streets, even in the streets. So this is this was the first part of my life, my first years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You once told me that your parents were primary school teachers.
Yeah. And in fact, also in these first years of my life, my first 9 years spent in this small village, together with playing football and looking at animals. Another thing I did was a lot of calculation, because my father, he was a primary teacher of sciences, and in particular mathematics. And he was training me all the time about the rules of calculus, summation, multiplication, etc. And I remember another image I have in my mind is just making close to my daddy, making a lot of calculations with many numbers with yeah.
Uh-huh. So he was a great influence on you.
Definitely, to see mathematics as something funny, and in spite of the fact that the mathematics I understood it this time was only calculations, so nothing to do really with mathematics, I started finding these things funny, and now I don't like that much calculations, but I feel the same love or admiration for mathematics. So yeah, this was the start of my long-term relationship with mathematics.
All right. Any hermanos?
I have one brother who is now a teacher in secondary school. So my parents were teachers in primary school. My brother is teacher in secondary school, and I was lucky to go one step further, and working in the university. Yeah.
And what about your kids? Are they taking things to another level too?
I have two kids. Well, my daughter is a physician, and my son is an engineer. So they are already old enough. Unfortunately, I have tried to convince them about the beauty of maths, and I did not succeed. I did not succeed at all.
So you were still a kid when the dictatorship regime ended in Spain. Do you have any memories from that period, or at least the transition to democracy?
Well, it coincided in time with the time in which my family left this small village, Fuentevejuna, and we moved to the big town of Seville. And in fact, this Franco dead 3 months later than we came to Seville. And for me, democracy was something that I did not understand really, that there was a change, although very smoothly. It was evident that there was a change. Fortunately, there was a change, a very good change. Much better for society, definitely.
I think I remember one story that you told me, that you saw a coin and you drew a mustache in I think Franco's face, or...
Yeah, in my family there was no political commitment, but there was, in my family and everywhere, there was a little bit of fright, and everyone was afraid of saying something or doing something. Even just I don't know, the coins. I remember this scene when I was a child, just with playing with a coin. The coin had the image of Franco, the guy who was in power, and I was painting a mustache to the coin, and my father came to me to say, don't do that, it is very dangerous. And it was something very innocent of a kid of 7 years. I was aged 7 years by that time. And so this is one of the things. Yeah, everything was smooth. The change from this dark period to democracy was very smooth. But what I remember is that the being afraid is something that disappeared also smoothly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good in a way, at least, right?
Absolutely.
It didn't leave you any marks. And yeah.
Absolutely.
And what did you do to have fun in Fuentevejuna?
Well, the only things of interest for me were soccer and just playing with animals, those which were in the streets. In fact, there was not too much there to do, and not even when I went to Seville when I was 9 years old, because the city. Well, Seville has less than 1 million inhabitants, around 900,000, something like that. So it is medium-sized city, I would say. So not a big city, but not too small. But to me, it was a change of magnitude, coming from a small town with less than 5,000 inhabitants. And there was a very big difference in activities. In the small town of Fuentevejuna, I was running wild all the time in the streets. My life was all the time in the streets. And when I came to Seville, I was 9 years old, and I was all the time at home, most of the time at home. Yeah, going to have a walk with my parents to the park on the weekend, something like that. But a quite boring life, I would say. Yeah.
But this transition was a bit traumatic in any sense?
Yeah, because I was all the time. I was all the time in the streets. I knew everyone in this small city. At the same time, my parents were primary school, so they were respected and known by anyone. So I was in the streets, and everyone was saying to me, "Hola, Emilito." And in Seville, I was an anonymous kid with a pronunciation, despite of the fact that I was not that far from Seville and Fuentevejuna were not that far. The accent, the pronunciation was very different. So I had a very strong rural accent. I had no friends in this moment, and I couldn't play in the streets, football in the streets, where we did it sometime, but it was quite exceptional. The rules in the school were different. So for me, it was a little bit. The change was dramatic in the sense that it was not that sad, but all my life and all my habits changed a lot. I shifted from being all the time in the streets of being all the time in my small apartment with my family.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned soccer. Did you attend any matches of the 1982 World Cup in Spain?
Yeah, but one of the things also important or that changed when I moved from my small town to Seville was that I lost all the interest in soccer. I was not interested anymore. So yes, we had some matches from the World Cup '82 in Seville, and I assisted to the stadium, but just for the fun of it. I was not even following the match. I was more having fun with my friends. Now soccer disappeared from my life at the same time that porks and donkeys and horses and everything. Yeah.
Right. Do you support Betis or Seville?
I don't care that much, but I have been supporting slightly more Seville than Betis, but now it is the opposite. Now Betis has a very nice team with very nice and committed players, committed not only in sports, but also in society. And I would say I'm following Betis, but those who know me say, hey, you are not a real supporter. This is true.
Uh-huh. You know that the 1982 World Cup in Spain was really traumatic for Brazil because they had this wonderful team and they lost to Italy and they just had to tie the match, but unfortunately it was a disaster and that left a scar in the Brazilian history when it comes to soccer, and till this day they speak about that team that had great players like Zico, Socrates, and other players, right? Any musical preferences in those years?
Well, I consumed a lot of music. Commercial music, of course, Beatles and Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd, bands which were already, in some cases, for example, in the Beatles, were not playing anymore. But, well, they were still considered to be modern, I would say. Yeah, so nothing special. The only change also in my life in this sense has been that Andalusia is the region of flamenco. And by that time, I considered flamenco old-fashioned, and I was very cold about that in the sense that it meant nothing to me when I was hearing flamenco. The other way around, I thought that it was something of old people and not as modern as the type of things I thought that I could consider good music. And this is something that has changed, and I regret, because there were a few spectacular flamenco players or singers that I did not have. I could have had the chance of meeting in person, even, for example, Camarón, the biggest flamenco singer ever, and I was not interested at all. So this is something I regret quite a lot. My interest for flamenco or my love for flamenco music came much later.
When you think of flamenco, you think of guitars, and of course, I cannot help but to mention Paco de Lucia, who was a fantastic guitar player from Spain.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy his music? Did you have the chance to attend any of his concerts?
Yeah, it was very late. I was 40 something, I would say.
Okay.
But I had the chance of attending to a concert of Paco de Lucia in Seville, in my place. At the same time, I have assisted to many concerts by especially flamenco guitar players like Tomatito, Vicente Amigo, very good ones. But I missed the opportunity of doing it more frequently when I was younger. But I had other interests in this time. But yeah, Paco de Lucia, he gave an impressive concert in Seville, and I had the chance of at least once seeing a live concert.
Yeah, he was one of the greatest, a very gifted guitar player, and unfortunately he passed away, right?
Yeah.
So, did you have the chance to travel around in your teenage years?
No, I did it. In fact, we are in the south of Spain, in the south of Europe. The roads when I was very young were terribly bad, and traveling for me, well, I traveled with my family just to the coast, which is less than 200 kilometers from here, and also to Portugal, to the border, to buy things, because the prices were cheaper there a few times. But this was my only international experience before being adult, I would say, or at least before when I was a teenager. Was my only international experience was going to Portugal to buy towels and other domestic things which were cheaper, and my parents wanted to go, and they brought my brother and me there. That's it. For me, it was very interesting that I was already in the university, that I had the chance of traveling one summer all around Europe in train, and it was fantastic because I passed from having just visited Portugal, in fact the border to Spain, just to buy towels and domestic things, to be jumping from one country to another, sleeping in the trains, using the nights to travel and to move from, I don't know, the Netherlands to Germany and to Switzerland or Austria, etc. And it was an enormous change. And this trip marked. I have it still fresh in my memory, but it was. I was 20. So it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. So it left a great impact on you, and that's very nice. What about school? Were you a good student?
Well, when I was very young in primary school, I found very boring school, even mathematics, because I was able to make calculations much faster. So I was bored all the time, but on the other hand, I was a good student. And later in high school, my parents, in this sense, they were very lucky because I gave no problem to them. I was all the time studying, being worried about having good scores in all subjects, except in sports. Sports was unfortunately, my times of soccer and interest of soccer left away. So, but I was a good student, very good student.
So physical education was not your forte then?
No, I was not interested, and I was not gifted, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy reading?
Let me tell you, I have a problem. I have an attention deficit problem, which is quite severe. And this means that I am able to have this conversation with you without being dispersed, but I don't know how long it will take this way. Now, this means that I have a serious problem of being concentrated, paying attention to a given subject. And for me, reading implies an enormous effort. And I'm quite embarrassed, quite ashamed to say that I don't find too much pleasure in reading because of that, because of the fact that it needs an enormous effort from my side. So reading short texts is okay, but unfortunately, I'm not a good reader. I have never been.
That's okay. I mean, you get distracted very easily. You can't help it. So it's just your nature. But I mean, as long as you can read at least the papers.
Yeah. This also requires a lot of effort.
Yeah. When and why did you decide to become a mathematician?
Well, in fact, I didn't make a decision, but I think that it is natural. When I go back in my memories to my first years, just making these crazy big calculations with my daddy, I think that numbers and this game of having abstract things, that numbers meant nothing concrete. It could be ports, could be anything. To me, this was fantastic. And I think that since I was all the time having the same fun, perhaps also because studying mathematics in high school did not require special attention. So it's not like memorizing parts of muscles or history, parts of history, whatever. So once you have taken the concept, things flow in a natural way. So perhaps it was easier for me, and it was also the most convenient choice, because I liked it all my life, and at the same time it was no effort. I did not pay effort to play with maths, and I made a lot of effort to work with I don't know, philosophy, literature, or even with sciences. So I would say that mathematics was the only feasible decision, the only feasible solution in my optimization problem of finding the optimal studies. It was the only feasible solution in the problem.
Okay. You joined the University of Seville as an undergraduate student in the mid-80s, I suppose?
Yeah.
85 or 86?
84.
84, okay. And is it true that you found pure mathematics a bit boring at the time?
Well, it was, of course, a change coming from the high school, in which you are doing nothing but calculations, going to abstract mathematics, like topology and analysis and algebra and so on. Well, I continued being a very good student. I studied a lot. I did not question myself about the beauty of this pure mathematics, but now I can say that I was not engaged with pure mathematics. And in fact, everything changed. In my life, there has been a few points that have supposed a big change. And it was another big change this time in my studies, when I was in my third year, that I had I took a course, an obligatory course in probability calculus and statistics, and it was nice because, first of all, statistics, or at least probability calculus, is nothing but measure theory, but the space measures unity, measures one. So that's a particular case of some analysis that I have already studied. But on the other hand, I had the chance, by the first time in my life, of modeling reality. Stupid experiments like flipping a coin, what is the probability of obtaining several times the same result, etc. But this was the first time, the very first time, that I found mathematics. It was probability and later statistics as a tool to use these maths to model or to understand or to predict reality. So the first thing that, and this was shocking to me, it was the fact that I understood that mathematics, in particular statistics, could be used to fight against uncertainty. So uncertainty exists, and you can say, okay, I don't know the answer of this experiment, I don't know the result, I cannot know because it is random. And the nice thing is that with the statistics, you can somehow accommodate uncertainty in your reasoning. And later I discovered that it was not only a descriptive issue, but you could also use to make decisions. And this was the second step in the change, because my mental change or the change in my attitude towards mathematics was, first of all, facing the uncertainty, and later using this to make decisions. And this was in a course I took in my fourth year in mathematics, in which I started with mathematical programming and operations research, and there was a part purely algorithmic of mathematical optimization, just convergence of algorithms and so on, that I would say I did not like that much. But the part of modeling, especially linear programming, when we were addressing, I don't know, knapsack problems or other types of simple allocation problems, etc., I found so happy to, on the one hand, being able to address uncertainty with the statistical tools, and later to make decisions in a formal way, not with the heart, not even with the head, but with a model and perhaps a computer to make calculations. For me, it was an impressive discovery. I discovered that these things were possible, and I was extremely shocked, and I fell in love with this immediately.
Wow!
So I decided that I was not going to be a mathematician in the sense of a pure mathematician or a high school teacher, which was quite possible because my parents were primary school teachers. So second step could be the son becomes a high school teacher, and I discovered that I did not want to be a teacher in the sense of teaching pure mathematics. That I wanted to be a modeler. I wanted to build models and to address real world problems and to convert them somehow into an optimization problem.
Mm-hmm. When you graduated in 1989, you received an equivalent to a master's degree, right?
Yeah.
And did you have to write a thesis?
We did not have, in our system, in Spain by that time, we did not have a separation between bachelor and master. We had just one block of 5 years, and this was the diploma, I would say. And in order to have the degree, a thesis, a master thesis, I would say, it was not compulsory. It was something volunteer that was only done by those who wanted to have an academic career, and this was the starting point. Just having a master thesis, at least to handle papers or a few papers, and to write by the first time a technical document. And yes, by that time, I was sure that I wanted to be a modeler, and unfortunately, Spain is a poor country, and Andalusia is a poor region within a poor country, and we don't have that many companies or industries. So modeling, the only way, the only professional activities related with the university. So I wanted to become I wanted to follow an academic career in modelization, whatever this means. And to do that, I started. I prepared a master thesis on Lagrangian relaxation and applications, in which this was my first contact with integer programming and mathematical optimization. Well, linear optimization, but in integer numbers. Yeah.
You got an important award after graduating, correct?
Yeah, I had very good scores. My scores were the best in the studies of mathematics all around Spain. And this gave to me a diploma that had been in the dining room of my parents' house until they passed away, and a little money that I don't know what I did with this, but I guess I did not buy books of mathematics, but spent in traveling.
Yeah, but to be the top student on mathematics in the entire country is a hell of an achievement, and I mean, your parents should have been very proud of you for sure. Have you considered applying for a job in a company at some point?
Yes, I was hesitating because of since I wanted to be a modeler, I was hesitating if I could become a modeler in academia or if it could be possible to do it in industry. We do not have many companies around, but nevertheless, I submitted my CV to a few companies that they immediately called me because they were looking at that time. They were looking for people with a profile like me, and I had very good scores. But I did not even go to the interviews. I said, no, unfortunately, I have already found something, and it was not true. The only thing is that I have already decided. In the meanwhile, in the process between sending the post letters saying I want to send an application to a position you have in your company, until in a few days I decided that I should become an academic, an university professor.
Yeah, so then you went for a PhD, and what did you study in your PhD?
My PhD. In fact, I wanted to do something in mathematical optimization and also including modeling. I did my PhD in Seville, so it was something interesting that when I was an undergraduate student, I was taking my courses in the second floor of a building, which is the math school. And later, when I was hired as a PhD student, I had an office as a PhD student in the second floor of the same building. And now I am in the second floor of the same building. So mobility is not precisely one thing that is outstanding in my CV. But I decided to write a PhD, and the topic should be around this. And I started. In fact, the title of my thesis was multi-objective location problems. In fact, I was addressing continuous location problems. So I'm not talking about the traditional incapacitated facility location problem, but most on the geometrical problems, such as you have a set of points in the plane, for example, and you're looking for a point so that you minimize the function of the distances separating these points, which might be seen as users or consumers, and this point you are looking for may be seen as a facility, a plant, a service, like a hospital or a school or something like that. And and I was playing with these ideas. First, modelization of these challenges of interaction between users and facilities, The tools were mainly convex analysis and global optimization, together with multiple objective optimization. So I was mixing different objectives, either convex or non-convex, but playing all the time in the continuous space or continuous location.
Was it a plain theoretical work?
The work was completely theoretical. There was no single table of computational results. The thing closest to a computer in my PhD was a few plots made not by hand, but and it was the first time I used a mouse of a computer, the first time, just to write down some, to make some simple plots. No, it was completely theoretical. I was studying structural properties of the solutions. Since there were multi-objective problems, we were talking about Pareto optimal solutions. I was studying theoretical properties in the case of convex problems. In the case of non-convex problems, I was interested in localization results, meaning that in spite of the fact that I was considering continuous problems, perhaps there existed a finite set of points that could be identified in advance containing an optimal solution. The same way that in linear programming on a polytope, and you know that the vertices of the polytope, just a set of vertices, which is a finite set, contains an optimal solution. In some of the problems I was addressing that could be transformed into piecewise concave minimization problems, and I was able to identify a set of finite set of points known to contain an optimal solution. But it was absolutely theoretical work. Mm-hmm. Well, there were a few algorithms, but theoretical algorithms for which I studied the theoretical complexity, but were mainly computational geometry algorithms, because in fact the problems I was addressing had a very strong geometrical flavor, and the tools of computational geometry were used together with these discretization properties or localization properties to pass from the continuum to a finite set of points that had some properties that could be exploited with some computational geometry algorithms, mm-hmm. for which I studied, I don't know, the worst case complexity, but without even an implementation for that.
Was that a conscious choice, or you did not enjoy coding that much?
Well, with my deficit of attention, coding in an efficient and professional way is not an easy way, because I am immediately dispersed, and when I come back to the screen to code, I don't even remember the names of the variables or the functions I have defined 3 lines of code above. So coding was nothing that fascinated me. And despite of the fact that I immediately understood when I was an undergraduate student that modeling reality was a nice game, but it was a useless game unless these models are converted, or these optimization models are converted into, with the help of an algorithm or a solver, they are converted into solutions. So I was aware, I understood clearly the need of this second stage, which is solving addressing the models and solving the optimization problems. But I would say I was not gifted for that, and I did not have too much interest in doing this part of the job that I considered, and I do consider right now also, crucial in the process, but it was not for me.
Right. Did you go somewhere else during your PhD, or you stayed in Seville for the entire period?
No, I spent 1 full year in the Free University of Brussels in Belgium, working with Frank Plastria, and it was a fantastic experience, because Frank was and is a top researcher, very clever guy, and he taught me so many things. And in fact, I learned to write papers working with him more than here in the doctorate program in Seville. So the experience, of course, in the personal, from the personal perspective, it was great, but from the professional perspective, it was also great. We were working, in fact, in the same problems that I was addressing in my PhD, but this was more or less in parallel. In fact, part of the work I did this year in Brussels with Frank Plastria, we published in some cases in good journals, but we published independently on my PhD. I only included in my PhD the work that physically was done in my period in the second floor of the School of Mathematics in the University of Seville, not the time in Brussels.
Right. It is quite common to have teaching activities during the PhD. How was it in your case?
It was a very time-consuming but super exciting experience. I mean, I love research, but I don't conceive research without the transmission of knowledge to the others. And this transmission of knowledge to the others is not only meant at the high level of international conferences, but also teaching the basics to the students. And I understood this from the very beginning. In fact, when I was a student, I was quite demanding in the sense that I was quite unhappy with some teachers that did not do a good job, and was, on the other hand, quite happy with those that were quite concerned with teaching. So I decided to be as good as the good teachers and far away in the ways of teaching from what I considered bad teachers. And I took this very seriously. I remember that in the office I had at the time, in the shared office I had at the time as a PhD student, we have a big blackboard inside the office. And I wrote every single lecture in real time in my blackboard one or several times. So I had a course of 1 hour, and I repeated previously 2 or 3 times 1 hour exactly, just to be sure that I was able to structure everything and I was able to transmit all the knowledge to the students. This is something that I considered, and I do consider right now, a crucial activity. And I mean, the success in academia is more related to papers and papers in top journals, which is very good. But we have also the commitment with, in fact, with the next generations. And a good teaching is, in my opinion, a fundamental activity.
Mm. Yeah, you were actually rehearsing before class, and I think it's a great initiative. I must confess that I did that also when I was starting, when I had the time, because when I started I was teaching too many classes, but I completely understand the importance of practicing. It's like when you deliver a talk or you present something. Usually when I present in a conference, I tend to practice just to keep track of the time, to see if the story makes sense. So yeah, that's a very good attitude. You finished your PhD in 1993 and quickly found a position at the University of Seville. Having been teaching...
Floor.
Huh?
Second floor building.
Having been teaching for more than 30 years, can you identify the differences between students from the 90s and today?
Yeah, there are many differences. In particular, the studies have changed here, because except in one semester I was teaching abroad, all the time I have been teaching also here in the School of Mathematics in Seville. But things have changed a lot, because now we have double degrees that in 5 years, the student have a double degree in physics and mathematics, or in computer science and mathematics, or statistics and mathematics. And these are very attractive, very challenging, and for this reason very attractive to very talented students. So we have right now in the School of Mathematics in the University of Seville the best students in the whole University of Seville, and I would say that most of the best students in all our region in Andalusia. So we have excellent students, and this is a change. So the average level of the students right now, the capabilities, the mental capabilities of these students are definitely much better than the average student when I started teaching. This is one thing. Second thing is that this is not the only change. Now, unfortunately, the background acquired in high school and primary school, in particular in mathematics, is quite poor compared with the many things we acquired when we were in high school. So this is a deficit, and this implies some challenges for the teachers in first courses. But also at the same time, I'm teaching in mathematics, but these guys are already quite interested with, in particular, computational issues. So they are different students. In our case, better students than in the past, more international. I remember the times in which I could not recommend a textbook in English because they say, "Oh, we are not able to read this in English." And now these guys are fluent enough in English to take the courses in English, although our system does not encourage this, and we give we offer all our courses in Spanish. But they are different, and I would say they are better. They are better right now, much better.
Mm-hmm. Speaking about students, you had a very special one who happened to be a subject to guest and an avid supporter of Real Betis. You probably know who I'm referring to, right?
Yes, you're referring to Dolores Romero Morales. In fact, we met very short. She was a student here in the School of Mathematics also, and I only met her when she was in her last year, and she was about to decide if she wanted to do an academic career or not. And in fact, for her master thesis, I was her supervisor. Immediately later, she moved to the Netherlands to have a PhD, and later she started an international career. But we have been co-authors from the very beginning. In fact, her first paper was not from her PhD, but it was a paper related with the things she has been doing in her master thesis on continuous location, bi-objective, in fact, continuous location. But our contact, in which I was a professor, I was teacher, and she was a student, was very limited. All the time we have been, except in these few months when she was finishing her degree, in all our career we have been, say, at the same level of academia, not the relation teacher-student.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Dolores is one of the nicest people in our community, and I was so happy to meet her and you in Santiago. So I think you two do a lot in terms of outreach and trying to promote our field, and that's very admirable. And meeting you two was just great, and I like her very much. She supports the Subject to project quite a lot, and I'm very grateful. So I wanted to say that. And let's talk about your research activities from the past 30 plus years. Why don't you start summarizing your work on location analysis after you completed your PhD?
Yes, in fact, I was the first few years after my PhD, I was just playing around the problems that were not fully solved in my PhD. So I was working with computational geometry algorithms, multiple objective optimization, and say convex analysis, and this localization results to reduce the search of an optimal solution to a finite set, until I discovered a little bit more the power of global optimization, and I was working more with global optimization. In fact, DC optimizations are problems for which we can split re-express the function, the objective function, as a difference of two convex functions, and to derive numerical algorithms. After my PhD, I immediately started working with some collaborators. In fact, during my PhD, I was also, the time I was in Brussels with Frank Plastria, I was working with him, and I never found interest in working alone. So I have no research papers alone, except in 2 or 3 papers in all my academic career. Perhaps because of this attention deficit, that I am not able to focus on the paper. And if I am working with someone, this someone is going to push me to be working on that. But and in particular, I started working with people, and in fact, as I said, I was quite interested in modeling and so on, and I was not that good and for the numerical issues, and I immediately started having cooperators who were very good in the numerical issues, and so we were able to do the full piece of having the model and the solution. So I was more satisfied in this work than with the work in my PhD, which was just theoretical without the algorithmic or the numerical part. And it was like this, and I would say that I would have expected that all my life I was going to be working with the same type of models, as I said, models in a continuous space with a very geometrical flavor, because we're points, another one, distances, in fact, Euclidean distance, or any other norm, distance induced by a norm, something like that, but very geometrical thing.
And you work also on the Weber problem?
Yeah, Weber problem was one of the, say, basic geometrical problems in a continuous space in which we have been working with in a multiple objective scenario, and also under uncertainty, assuming that points are moving or have uncertain positions, things like that. Yeah, this is a paradigmatical example of the type of things I have been doing. And I thought that everything was going to continue in this line until I have another breakpoint in my career. And this, we are teaching in Spain, statistics and operations research go together since the very beginning. It was a political decision. Statistics and operations research are together, and now this is natural, because now with machine learning and data-driven decision-making, this is considered to be natural. But it was not in the 60s or in the 70s. It was just a political decision of someone who wanted to have the power on both branches of science and technology. But our department, in fact, I am in the Department of Statistics and Operations Research, and we have teaching in both statistics and operations research. And I lecture also in statistics. And one day I went to our library in the faculty, looking for a textbook in data analysis, and having a look at it, I found in the appendix the Karosh-Kuhn-Tucker conditions. Oh my God, what are Karosh-Kuhn-Tucker conditions doing in a data analysis textbook? I was amazed. I needed to know the answer of this, because for me at the time, statistics and operations research, yeah, we have stochastic programming, but for me, they were different worlds without bridges connecting them, except in perhaps stochastic programming. And I was amazed when I was looking at that, and I discovered, I saw that there was a problem of interest in data analysis, in fact, in modern data analysis, in fact, in machine learning, if you want, which is support vector machines. So the idea is you have, again, a geometrical problem, as those problems that I have enjoyed working with in my previous years. You have, again, a geometrical problem in which you have now two set of points of different colors, and you're looking for a strip separating them and maximizing the width of this strip. So again, a geometrical problem of the type of problems that I have been working with that could be rewritten as a very nice quadratic convex optimization problem with linear constraints. And I said, oh, this is fantastic, because this is the bridge between these geometric problems I have and the uncertainty that I have been interested in addressing when I was an undergraduate student with operations research or with optimization, because there's a non-trivial optimization problem to solve, because until this day, most of the optimization problems I found in statistics or in data analysis were just problems that just taking the derivative equal to zero was sufficient. It was the only mathematical optimization knowledge you needed to address these problems. And I discovered here something completely different and a little bit deeper. So I started working on with support vector machines. I hired a PhD student, Belén Martín, who is now in Edinburgh. And I asked my friend and colleague Dolores to co-supervise the PhD. And in fact, Dolores has also been working in her PhD in other things, not related with data analysis. And we too started with Belén working, the three of us. Well, Belén leading because she was the PhD student in this connection completely new to me between the world of uncertainty, statistics, and data analysis, and the world of mathematical optimization, which is support vector machines as a tool of machine learning. And since then, I have been working less and less in location and more in these data analysis problems, which are solved via machine learning procedures, which are nothing but mathematical optimization problems.
Mm-hmm. So the turn of the century was literally a turning point in your research direction.
Absolutely. Going to the library and having a textbook with the KKT conditions in the appendix supposed to me a change of trajectory in my life, an unexpected one, I would say. Now I see that all the path is a continuous path and there's no big jump, because I have been all the time working with these geometrical problems and so on. But formally it was a very big change.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your current research work and what you consider promising research topics worth of being investigated.
Well, I am more and more in the challenge of designing new machine learning procedures to make predictions, so in fact to address uncertainty, using mathematical optimization, and in fact the part related with modeling is also quite important, and in particular the part concerning the modeling of multiple criteria or multiple objectives is quite important. So, and when we are talking about forecasting method, so prediction method in machine learning, definitely we're interested in accuracy. So we would be interested in optimizing the accuracy according to some parameters in the model or whatever. But on top of this, we may want to do something else. And something else may mean, for example, to improve explainability of the procedure, something which is quite important, and nowadays even more and more, now with generative AI, in which we have a machine that knows a lot but we don't know how this machine knows, and it is not explained. It is not explained. So explainable artificial intelligence is a crucial topic in societal challenge, I would say. And working with improving the explainability of machine learning procedures, for example, by reducing the number of features that you are using so that you can focus on the few features which are really relevant to the prediction, is something that is a second criterion to be added to the accuracy criterion. And more recently, we have been using another criterion, which is some sort of fairness, in the sense that nowadays, with the big amount of data everywhere, and the massive use of machine learning procedures to make predictions, it may be the case that if the data have some biases and are discriminatory against minorities or groups of population according to gender, sexual orientation, beliefs, political orientation, whatever, this bias in the previous data may lead to biased and unfair decisions. So adding as a third criterion, together with, of course, accuracy, but also explainability, adding also fairness, in the sense that the procedure is protected against discrimination of sensitive groups, is another criterion which is quite important. And in fact, combining them all, not only in supervector machines, we are still working on supervector machines, but also in other machine learning procedures, lead to new multiple objective optimization problems, in some cases with a very nice convex structure, in some other cases with a very bad poor structure leading to global optimization problems. This is something that we are working more and more. And I will be, I guess, working in this until a new breakpoint appears, like the KKT conditions in the textbook in the statistics that suppose a change.
Yeah, it's all very fascinating. I find the need of explaining machine learning algorithms very important. And to me, I think this is a very promising path. And if students are listening to this conversation, I think they should pay attention and consider following such a path. Emilio, you have been doing a lot of consultancy, correct?
Yes. I have been doing more and more consultancy activities, transfer of knowledge, which is in some cases research, not only consultancy, but research motivated by a real problem. And I started because of I found it funny to do modeling, and even to have some compensation, economic compensation for that. Not for me. In fact, I had fun, but at the same time, I was able to get some funding to hire students. In Spain, as in many other countries, hiring students is a very hard and tough process because of the bureaucracy around not only the bad salaries, but also the bureaucracy around the uncertainties and the length of the process from the moment at which you say, I have the funding to hire someone, until the day this person is finally hired and has signed the contract. And I used these transfer of knowledge activities as a source of funding to immediately retain students, good students, and as I said before, we have around excellent students, to have them, instead of allowing them going to the companies to do some machine learning, which is now quite well considered, or to go to other universities to work in research and to do a PhD. One way of retaining them is when they are perhaps in their last year on their master, to say, hey, can you help us with this real problem we don't know how to solve? Because even the guys who are willing to pay us to solve the problem, they don't know the problem they want to solve. Can you help us in the modeling phase? And yes, later in the algorithmic part to give the solution. And in some cases, we have been quite successful retaining these students that otherwise could have moved perhaps academia or at least our university. So my main motivation, on top of the fun I have with these modeling activities, my main motivation is to have a source of funding to retain good students. And I'm very proud of the good students we have been able to retain thanks to these activities.
Excellent. I'm aware you were a big defender of the public sector. Could you comment more on this?
Absolutely. I have been, from my primary school to university, everything was public. So my parents were not rich, but they were both working, so they could have afford perhaps from some private teaching for me in secondary school or even university, but they decided not to do it. And I'm quite proud of my public education, and I'm at the same time, I think that society has given to me and to my colleagues so many things that I think that we have the moral obligation to give to them also something back. And in this sense, I think that we need everywhere a strong public system of education, the same sense that a strong public system of health, but in particular in education and in particular in higher education. And this is the best way to be in contact with the society which is paying our salaries, but it is not only because of that, but because the society deserves that we also work for them and we serve them the same way that the society is helping us, not only with our salary, but also with the infrastructures and in particular with the health system and the education system for all. So definitely, and I'm quite worried about that in the sense that it seems now that all governments, independently of their ideology, they're making so many cost-benefit analysis, and everything is monetized. Everything is considered, is measured in terms of money, and things like the knowledge. The knowledge is something that has an enormous value, and I am afraid so many times budget is cut too much because, yeah, money is not infinite, I know, but we need a public system of education at the same time of health, for example, but in particular of education. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You have been very active when it comes to occupying important leadership positions in Spain. How do you reflect on your main contributions in such roles?
Well, I have been president of the Spanish Statistics and Operations Research Society, and thanks to the very enthusiastic team of people we had in the board, we were able to do a few interesting things. In fact, something I realized is that when we are talking about management, is that there are many clever people who have been doing things before. So in many cases, the only work to be done is to copy and adapt to your local context some things that have been done in the past somewhere else by clever people. So in particular in our society, we copied a few things, a few initiatives, for example, from Euro, the European Federation of Societies of Operations Research, in which working groups work very, very well. We already had in our society a few working groups, but they were not that active they did not cover the society, and I impulsed the creation of many research groups, and it was an excellent initiative in the sense that we were able to, in fact, we almost doubled the number of participants in our meetings, in our national meetings, because now all the people had an extra motivation, which was to participate in the sessions of their working groups. So they felt more part of the society. So the same thing, we did not have a Congress for young statisticians and operations researchers, and we copied initiatives from our Italian colleagues, for example, and also at an European level, and we created this in Spain, and it is great also because we have now in our society a very dense network of PhD students or postdocs or young people who know each other, who have met, in particular, they have met in these initiatives just for young people. And now when I have been in the last national meetings, there were so many unknown faces for me, of young people, and I know that in part this is thanks to the work we did. We all did in our team, in our board, to create and to foster these initiatives of working groups and also of the activities for the young people. So it is true that these things, the time spent or invested in these services do not go directly to papers, to citations, but they go to pleasure. And I have found a lot of pleasure also, not in the real day managing or bureaucratic managing, but creating things. It has been an enormous pleasure for me, and I'm very, very happy these initiatives are maintained and strengthened right now. So, yeah.
You also have been making a lot of effort to connect academia with the industry in the field of mathematics in general, right?
Yeah, the same thing. Now this is a challenge I have right now, and I am the president of MAFIN, the Spanish Network of Mathematics in Industry. We are a network of more than 400 people in academia, in math department or engineering departments, but with a strong mathematical activity, and we are promoting meetings and projects or consultancy, not so much a consultancy activity, but mainly research consultancy with research-oriented activities with companies. And we are obtaining some nice results, and we hope that this allows for, again, a closer relation between society, in this sense, the economic part of society or the productive part of society, with academia, and in particular with mathematics. And I'm very happy when I am participating there, because all our activities are modeling activities all the time, at least in the first stage. Later, these things become lines of codes in a computer. In this part, as I have confessed, I am not that involved. I try to escape from this part of the project. But when we are facing a real world problem from which we know nothing, and perhaps the industrial partner is not able to explain exactly what he or she expects from us, and we are able to formalize this as a mathematical optimization model, this is a fascinating activity too. Yeah. And I am impulsing this not only for my own interest, because I'm finding a lot of pleasure there, but also because I think that it is another way of connecting academia and the real world and society. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When talking about media and outreach, your name rapidly comes to mind. Could you talk about your motivation to promote mathematics and OR, as well as the pros and cons of being, let's say, more exposed to the public than the average scholar?
Yeah, the same way that I find that we have the moral obligation to transfer our knowledge to our students, I think that we need to explain to our neighbors or to the guy in the shopping center what's that I am doing and what's that I am paid for, on top of lecturing. And this is an activity that I think that we all researchers should be involved. Among other things, because nowadays we have so many risks in social networks and so on that perhaps the society do not appreciate the work of researchers, and they think that we are strange people hidden in our offices because we don't want to know anything about reality. And there's a need of a strong bridge between society, not economic society, not a specialized society, but normal people and our work. And anytime I have had the chance of participating in these activities, I have said yes. This include first going to primary schools and high schools to promote mathematics, and in particular, operations research models are very nicely explained. Travel assessment problem, for example, to high school students or even primary school students, just making some calculations on the number of possible routes you can establish, things like that. These and also more complicated problems of particular location. I have been recently in a high school presenting the problem of how to sit down people around a rectangular table in such a way that the distance between any pair of them is maximized and things like that. And these problems are very interesting, easily explained in single words. And the nice thing is that they understand that there's something behind, that there's something solid behind. It's not just a tweet, not a single opinion without any thought before. And contrary to that, this is something very solid. So going to primary schools, high schools, going also to exhibitions, science exhibitions, is something that I do anytime I'm invited to. And also in the media. In the media, I had the chance, thanks to the connections with newspapers or journalists I created when I was either the president of the Spanish Statistics and Operations Society, Research Society, or when I was the head of the Institute of Mathematics in our university. And sometimes they are consulting me, or they want to know my opinion about silly things like the probability of winning the lottery and things like that. But it is good that we are asked, instead of just receiving opinions from someone who is not educated in these domains and is simply interested in giving opinion and being popular for that. So yeah, I love also this contact with newspapers and journalists, because I think that this is a way of reaching many people that are not going to be interested in going to an exhibition of science, for example, but they read newspapers, or they are having a look, they are watching TV, and they find in a TV program someone talking about the traveling assessment problem, for example. Yeah, so this is something that I think that is quite important, and I do it with a lot of pleasure.
Yeah, many people are still not exactly aware of OR and its importance. There are many reasons for that, maybe the name and so on. Do you think we can do a better job as scholars in promoting our field?
The problem is the name, I would say. The name Operations Research is names that means nothing to the average person in society. When we are talking about making decisions, so decision making or data-driven decision making, I think that in this case we can contact better with the people. In fact, in my outreach activities, I should confess that I almost never use the term operations research. I use the term mathematics for the formalism, I would say, and especially decision making. So if we talk about the decision sciences or the decision-making profession, or making decisions which are based on data and not based on opinions, I think this is at least my personal strategy to connect with people, because operations research, I know, of course, the reasons of the name, but I think that it is difficult with this name to reach people. And other names that I am hearing of societies even that have changed their name, and instead of our society, they are called Analytics Society or something like that. I think it is not exactly the same, because it goes more to the, say, AI or machine learning stuff, and we are doing something different. I think that we are doing modelization and solution of problems of decision making in which we have limited resources or something like that. This is not analytics. This is not, at least in my opinion. It needs a name, but since we haven't been able in these many years to find a name, I think that perhaps the problem is that a good name does not exist. And instead of having a short name, we should use this long expression type decision-making, data-driven decision-making, or something like that. And because with this name, we are not able to connect. At least I am not able to connect with society.
Yeah, that's a very complicated problem to solve, and still it's an open problem, and I hope a solution comes, or a good alternative in that sense, so we can not only better promote our field, but also make the society understand what we're doing, the average person, even the children, and it's super relevant what you do, and it cannot be just hidden.
Definitely, but we all should try to do our best for that. I mean, writing good papers is nice, but another part in our CV should be how much time or how much effort we have spent in promoting two authorities, because we need public money for funding, for grants, etc. Two authorities, and definitely to society, to the average citizen that should know what's that we are doing and what's that we can do for them, for society.
Yeah, absolutely. Emilio, I have to ask you this. You appeared in an outdoor in the streets of Seville. And your name was, of course, connected with mathematics. You were a very charismatic person, but how did you feel to have your face there in the calles of Sevilla?
Well, this was an initiative of the town hall of the city that wanted to promote science, and in fact, what they wanted to do is to present the faces of researchers of the university in the streets, so that when you go shopping, you're going to see the faces of some researchers in different disciplines. Now, with these things, for the papers, when I publish a paper in a good journal, I feel happy on my own. For things like that, I always think of my children, and they say how happy they should be, and I'm going to share with them this fact of, hey, have a look at Daddy in the streets of the city, or in a TV program in the national television, or in a newspaper, something like that. I feel nothing on my own, but I feel very happy sharing this experience with my especially with my children and with my friends. That's it.
Yeah, that's great. It's not only you that you are representing. It's an area, it's a field, and I hope other people get inspired by your attitudes and initiatives. I think it's been very beneficial for our community, and especially in Spain in your case. And what are your plans for the years to come?
I don't know. I'm expecting the next breakpoint of something new appearing. Otherwise, I think that for my research career, I think that I'm going to be working again all these years, forthcoming years, in the same things, machine learning and optimization, I would say. But I think that I may be even more useful to our community in other activities like perhaps these contracts with industry or promoting relations with industry, and also the need of connecting academia and in particular operations research with society. So if I can choose, I would like to have a few good papers, but I would like to have many opportunities of going to many primary schools, perhaps to discover new future professionals in operations research.
All right, Emilio. So I would like to thank you very much for your time. It has been wonderful to talk to you. I just enjoyed very much our conversation. Muchas gracias, Emilio.
Let me thank you for the enormous effort you are doing for the promotion of the profession of operations research. And for me, it has been a pleasure, an honor to be here. And I'm thankful to you for all the efforts you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your words. As usual, if you're considered visiting Brazil, just let me know. It will be great to meet you again. Yeah.
Will do. Same here.
Yeah. Okay, Emilio, once again, thanks a lot. Muchas gracias. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
Ciao.
Bye.